A very straightforward question. How much do you earn?
When I started, that time I'm charging like 250 rupees for a 2-hour podcast edit. Now we charge like 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh for like 6 videos.
I make somewhere about $15K a month.
I got a lot of hate from my peers also in college. क्या कर रहा है coding कर ले. No, irony was that I also got a job in same field, twice his package, and also did this.
Last year we made a film that was screening on IPL, and that's when I was like, Dad, you're watching IPL every day, no? You know that ad that comes up? That's mine. And that's when he's like, oh, it's yours. You're doing that.
During my internship, I had another offer which paid me almost 3 times more than the internship I picked. The role that they were offering was not aligned to what I want to do. I had the privilege to turn that down and be like, you know what, I think I'm going to try this.
I had a little controversial take on this.
Go first.
Quickly, can you just guys tell me one course that someone can do in the very early stages?
I have a PhD in the University of YouTube.
So there will be 2 things. First course, Aiden Hillier-Smith used to be an editor for like Logan Paul. It's expensive obviously, but that is worth it. Second thing is
How much AI is actually impacting your respective fields? Is it helping people grow? Is it really replacing them?
this is the hottest topic. Think about tier 2 or tier 3 India consumers. They won't be able to differentiate, okay, is this made by AI or not?
My mom is sending me reels, okay, on Instagram.
Fully AI-generated.
Of a leopard approaching a baby.
Yeah,
The babies
yeah.
hit the leopard and the leopards ran away. Okay, and my mom's like, look at this brave baby. At the top, I can see Sora.ai.
In 2026, if someone is starting off in your respective careers, can you map a small roadmap they can take directionally to be where you are or possibly even beyond that? So the agenda of today's podcast is कि by the end of this entire session, एक 22-year-old or probably even a 16-year-old knows or probably can come up with an idea or a direction कि एक creative path पे अगर जाना है तो what is the right way they can go with it? What is something that they can expect and what is something that they should expect this is where that will lead them to, right? For this very purpose, we have an amazing influencer, a content strategist and a video editor, Somrat with us. We have an amazing filmmaker, Abhishek with us, and a very creative designer who also excels in UI UX, Shivani with us. Before we get into a lot of technicalities and other details, I would want you guys to quickly give an introduction of yourself. Let's make it a little spicy. Suppose this is a party and we are meeting for the first time. How would you react or how would you explain the question? What do you do?
I make people's boring life look like movies.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, that's what an editor does. Probably, editor has so much of power in this generation, like to drive the narrative in a certain fashion. So yeah, I would probably introduce myself in a party like that. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Shivani and I work as an independent designer and I design for early stage startups as a founding designer. Previously, I was a product designer at CRORE. I primarily try to craft experiences, like all of the digital experiences that you see in apps and websites and stuff, and try to make them feel a lot more humane, especially when you spend most of your time staring at screens.
So I would say as a filmmaker, you're essentially a storyteller. So I would say I tell stories in 4K. Yeah, that's the thing, right? We try to see it from a different perspective. We try to tell stories that haven't been said. We try to tell stories in ways that it hasn't been said before as well. I would say that's what we primarily try to do day to day.
Great. Something that I want to just bring up on the table. What's with the sunglass, Somrat? And what's with the cap?
So the thing is that I see my future so bright, so I have to wear this glass for that.
Oh, can you elaborate on the code that is written there? I don't want to repeat.
No explanations. Absolutely open to interpretation. Yeah.
All right, a very straightforward question. How much do you earn in a month? Each one of you.
So, quite honestly speaking,
Yeah.
I honestly started pulling a salary from like 2 years ago. We've been doing this for 5 years, right?
Okay.
We were very young when we started. We started at 20 years old, right? So when we started, what do you need as a 21-year-old? I mean, 20-year-old, you're living with your parents. You don't have many expenses, right? So at that time when we started, Naveen and I were pulling like anywhere from 5 to 10K a month, right? Which is for bare expenses, to get to places, to eat 1-2 meals outside. Right? As a 20-year-old, you don't need that cash. So one principle we have is we put everything into our business, right? So when I'm pulling a salary right now, right, I'm pulling a salary for the sake of basic means in my life, right? Very honestly speaking, I pull 50,000 rupees salary, right? As a founder, that's not much, right? As an employee, that's not much, right? But we've come to this number as founders to say that this is all we need to suffice, right? This is what we need. Whenever there's a bigger expense, we do take more money because we have the liberty to. It's our business in the end of the day, right? But we just pull 50,000 for basic needs, right? Anything more or plus that goes beyond that goes right back into the company. And I feel in the formative years of any business, if you have a good partner and you have good good people with you, that is the biggest priority, that you need to keep channeling that money back into the business. Either it goes into equipment, it goes into inventory, it goes into working capital, it goes into 101 AI subscriptions, whatever. So I take 50,000 rupees a month. That gets me by for my basic needs, for whatever I need, right?
It would be very tempting, right? When you're as a big production house, you're pulling so much, but
you see two bank accounts.
थोड़ा सा और निकाल सकता हूँ मैं.
You see your savings
But I
account.
won't.
You see your savings account and your current account. Savings account is looking pretty not so great, right? But your current account is looking great. And at the end of the day, both are your accounts. But I feel like that's a very, very important principle, because when you partner or you work with people who are super money oriented, right? It often causes the demise of your brand or your business, or sometimes you need to put money into things that like I pay employees more than I pay myself, right? And that is a very a lot of people will be like, why is a founder not taking more than the employees that work there, right? And that's a very astounding fact to some people that I've spoken to, right? But for us, it doesn't matter. Like for us, it's about the value. One day, that current account, we will pull the money out and it will be good. But
So it's all for that one day.
Yeah, it's all for that one day, I guess.
All right, Somrat.
Yeah, so my story is very interesting because there's not just editing that I do, right? So I also work as a backend engineer at Nutanix. That's there. But let's just keep this more tight towards the editing part. And when I started like probably editing like 4 years back, I was editing podcasts for like just my college senior, right? That time I was charging like 250 rupees for a 2-hour podcast edit. So yeah, that's where I started. Now my commercials, if you ask, again, we do so many things, right? If you talk about, so we are working with a Dubai client, right? She is in the niche of, it's a female content creator and she has like long form content. So for that, we charge about like 1 lakh a video, but it's still like 8-minute video. And again, I'm the creative director, I'm not the editor. That's the difference. I do motion design a lot. So we are launching a lot of AI promotion. For AI starters, we create promotion launch videos. And in there we charge like about 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh video for like 30-second or 60-second video. If you talk about how much money I made, I can give you the ballpark figure. In the month of October, that was our best month. We made about we closed around 8 to 10 lakh-ish total in top line revenue. Yeah, but again, as he said, as founders we eat last. I haven't withdrawn any money from my current account in the last 2 years. It's just I've used my salary for
Good on you, man. Good on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I also believe that empowering others. So for example, my team, although everyone is like working online, but I do everything. Like they want a course, I will buy it for them. They want like monitors. One of the editor I gifted a MacBook. So that is something I'm really happy for. Like impacting others' life more than mine. I think that compounds back in ways that you don't.
Awesome, and they give 30 days of the month to making your dream come true.
Right, exactly.
You gotta treat them right. You gotta give them what they need, for sure.
This is also this theory that even Tanmay but follows. I'm giving another example. Whenever he does a brand shoot, everyone in his team gets a cut. Whoever's working on that specific project gets a cut from that brand shoot.
Right. Actually, I think I've seen that podcast, and after that, I started implementing with my own team that every time I get a sponsorship, everyone who's working on that project will get a cut.
I think every creator should ideally
but a lot of
do
people
this.
don't do this.
Yeah, like a percentage, like commission.
Incentivize.
Incentivize.
Which is why I feel even the team that you're working with will be very loyal to you as well.
Yes, for example, one of my lead editor got opportunities from much bigger channels and he won't leave me.
So cute.
Yeah, so
You can't put a price on loyalty.
So true. And I think I've met a lot of creators. I've talked and they're, for some reason, creators are very open with numbers, like how much they're making. And so even people at 1 million scales have like very low running costs, like the percentage is like 30%, 40% they have burned, right? For some reason, even as a small creator, I am putting a lot of money back to my team, right? So we burn like more than 50 to 60% is our burn per month. So yeah, I think I'm just playing the long term game. Hopefully this works out.
I'm sure it does. Shivani.
I think for me, it's quite different as compared to them, because I think you all have like a whole team and like your business is growing in itself. I work independently currently, so things look quite different. What I've realized is how much money you make is directly defined by the value you can generate for someone else, right? Like how much money someone else makes out of what you provide to them is what you get paid for. So currently I work for startups based out of San Francisco, especially in like early teams as a founding designer. So I make somewhere about like 10 to 15K dollars a month,
Okay.
which maybe comes down to like 10 to 15 lakhs ish. But a lot of that is not consistent because I'm working independently as a freelancer. It's not like an independent business where I'm running an agency with like multiple projects and multiple people. Some months you earn this way, some months you're still waiting for like contract renewals or you're waiting for like payments to come through. So it does not look consistent, and it's also been like pretty recent for me. It's been like around 4-5 months. So yeah, that's how much I make a month.
Got it. What does a day in your life ideally looks like? Like, probably give an example of a very hectic day.
Yeah, so probably the hectic day it's very idealized, right? As an editor or whatever, like you wake up.
But you do a lot of things apart from just editing as well. Give me an image of that day.
Okay, I don't probably sleep. Like the last project, I probably like slept like 8 hours in the last 3 days.
Really?
Yeah, so it's always...
Is that why the glasses?
Hey, I got caught, man. Anyway, jokes apart, yeah, it's very hectic. Like, for example, I have to balance a job, a content, a freelance sort of a thing. So probably what I do is I've found a very interesting way of laying out stuff. For example, the very heavy sort of work, like production, is what I would typically, for shoot, I would do like on Saturdays and Sundays, the weekends, right? And when I'm doing the job, that I just do like passively, like brainstorming and content planning and all this like light work sort of things during the weekdays. So I wake up at probably like 7. I will first see my analytics if things are going right or not, and then I just want to kill myself looking at that. But yeah, jokes apart, then I start some content research, see how things are, open my own Slack. So I have a Slack where like my company I work for, backend developer, they have a Slack. I have my own Slack. So I just mirrored everything, learned from there and built my own sort of team, right? So I see if there is anything pending from my side, because I don't want to like bottleneck anyone because of I'm not there, right? So I do that first, then probably I just go to the job. Fortunately, the job is very hyping and like also very work-life balance. So I just work for like 5-6 hours, not even 5-6 hours, like 4 to 5 hours on average. Then I come back. Then probably on the weekdays, I won't shoot anything probably. But I would just strategize and see where the business is going, if there's certain ventures I want to get into, all those things. And on the weekend, it's all the heavy work, right? So weekdays I plan, I will send, okay, this is something I need to write to my writer. He would write it down. On the weekends, my friend would come, we would shoot together and like do, yeah, that's kind of the lifestyle. So there's no break, like, it's like 7 days work. But I love it. That's how it is.
Got it. Cool.
So even though we're in the same industry, like I feel life's a little different in that way.
Okay.
I mean, production is hectic. When there are projects, our average day would be, like the shoot days would often be like 16 hours, 18 hours a day. That's a shoot day, right? So early morning till night, it'll wrap up. But the days that they're not shoot days, what we do is I wake up in the morning, like you said, a Slack, or we kind of create like an itinerary of what is to be done today and as a founder or as a director, you need to think of everyone's roles, right? You're not just saying, okay, I'm going to go direct this film and it's going to be great. You're thinking, what is the art director doing? What is the creative director doing? What does the producer need to do for me today? What does this stylist need to do for me today? You're not thinking 100 different logistics, right? So you create that itinerary, and I go hit the gym to get my mind right. Right?
Very
before I go to office to get everyone else in motion, I need to get my own thing, right? So I hit the gym. We do office at around 1 o'clock, right? Because most people from industry are like we wake up late, we like working towards the night, all that kind of stuff. So we reach office by around 1 o'clock. Everyone's there. We split into mostly pre-production and post-production groups kind of sorts, right? We plan out everything from client calls to treatment decks, storyboards, everything we need for the shoot, right? If it's one of those kind of days. But one good thing I like about my job is that there's a fair amount of balance. Now, we're not like an agency or a media house where we're running 10 retainers. We work on higher scale productions, right? So when there's a project, right, we're working 2 to 3 weeks prior to that, right? Like how I mentioned. But when there isn't a project, it gives us more leeway, and I give a lot of my employees there are the past 2 weeks, my employees have come to the office maybe once or twice. Okay. The thing is, because I feel once you build a good team, right, like a relentless, talented team, and you build these people, and you build a connection also, saying what, I'm not here to hound you as a boss. I want you to give me your best output, and in return, I'll give you the best benefits, and you create that kind of relationship with your employees. They could go to Uganda tomorrow, and they'll still give me the work. You know what I'm trying to say? So I give a lot of work from home with my team. I feel a lot of people thrive from a work from home experience also. So most days we do work from home. We do get whatever stuff done. In case there are meetings, there's an internal creative session, or we're pitching for a brand or anything like that. I prefer coming to office and we all sit together on that. But yeah, so for me there's a fair balance. Like when there's production, like you said, it's like not even 8 hours sleeps in 3 days. Okay, there's we'll be traveling in the night. In the morning we'll be going for recce till night. There'll be pre-light, and then from pre-light we'll end at 2 a.m. Then at 5 a.m. you're back there in 3 hours for call time, right? And as a director, it's strenuous, because you have to be the first one there and last to leave, right? Typically like that. But yeah, when we're shooting, forget sleep, forget exercise, forget food, forget you're living on coffee. Right? but when we're not, right, and things are going into post-production and things are just happening in terms of briefing or PPMs and stuff, live a little bit more laid back, and we get to do everything right.
But do you think that the founding team should be in office, and when you scale to a certain point, and then you can give those leeways to people working remotely, right? Because something that I'm facing a challenge right now. I feel that if I have an editor in-house as who's drawing a full-time salary, I think my scale would also go 3 or 5x.
Okay. So when you're talking about the founders, 100%. If anyone was given the opportunity, best to sit at home, they would choose that as an employee. But you have to lead by example, right? So I typically try to be the first one in office. I typically try to be the last one to leave, like those kind of things. When you're saying you're not getting output from a remote job, right? I do agree with that in some aspects, right? That's why I say when suppose we go into post-production, it's mainly editors where you need them to be around, right? Otherwise we do G-meets and all that kind of stuff. But editors, when it comes to post-production, the initial, let's say 2 days after a project, is where we come in, we lay down the foundation of the project, right? Like the sequence and the skeleton of the project. What's our plan? How is this going to transition? What are the transitions, right? Stuff like that. Once you create that workflow of first 2 days, it kind of divides, you have your colorist doing one thing, you have the animator doing one thing, you have the sound producer doing another thing, and that, a lot of people feel more comfortable in their pajamas at home, and I feel like they're in a better headspace to do it. Whereas when they come to office, sometimes it's they would have spent 1 hour overall travel time, they would have had to, just compromise and reach there at the venue. But the thing is, I feel I get the most output from them when you give them what they want. I know I can say a few of my employees work better in the office. I can tell you that much, right? So I know that when I need the best out of them, I need them in office. But I know few of my employees work the best when they're not in office. Give them the leeway of that. Give them some incentives. There's been some times where I'm I really wanted an edit from one of my editors, right? And I know he works really well at home. So I was I woke up in the morning and I was let me order you brunch. Order him a nice big meal. And I was now give me this edit today.
Classic.
Yeah, a coffee and a nice big meal. I was we need this by end of day, man. Let's make it happen.
By the way, we did this. Interesting.
But for as long as there are incentive structures in place, I think people are willing to put in the work. I think burnout kicks in when you're doing work that doesn't feel like play and you're not even incentivized to do it. So that's nice.
But I think not all incentives are monetary, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
incentive is subjective to what a person counts
Yeah.
as incentive. I think for me, my day looks very different. Since I work for clients based out of San Francisco, I'm working in the night, which is not very much like me. Like I really am a person who likes to wake up in the morning and be outdoors, like either go for a run or hit the gym. So depending on the kind of work, I feel like it's very hard to box creativity and be like, this is the structure and this is all that you have to like figure out and execute within. So for me, I try to get at least like 4 to 5 hours of deep work before lunch, and then spend the rest of my hours like trying to maybe like just exercise a few things. Like for example, I'm trying to get this done, like make a few iterations, look up for inspiration, like all of those things also take up time, but they don't amount for output. So I think for me, my work day looks a little different in that sense. I think ever since I've started working this way, I haven't had the time to go out on a weekend, like on a weekday for dinner with anybody, like no evening plans, because I need to prep for my calls. So like they'll start by like 9 p.m. onwards, 9 to 12 or 1, I'm working on calls, finishing, sending out deliverables. So I try to make sure that I at least have like an hour in the evening outdoors, an hour in the morning outdoors, but I spend rest of my hours like trying to design a few things. So like deep work happens in those few hours, and then the rest of the hours is just to like upskill, like figure other ways to like get the same things done faster or like things of that sort. And that also looks different over a period of time. Like if I have a client that I'm working with for quite some time, then it'll be like, okay, next 3 months I'm working with them and 3 months will look like this. And now when my contract ends, I have like a whole month of nothing to do, like there's no actual deliverable, right? So then I'll spend all of that time like spending, I'll be writing a few things, publishing them. I'll be spending time reading up about what I should be learning about. I'll be spending time learning to code and like build a few things that I've been thinking about. So my days don't look the same, and neither do the months look the same. So yeah.
So I think we have been trying to
Yeah.
think we've been trying to meet Shivani, but we have rescheduled like so many times. So this is the second time I'm meeting her. Although we both stay in like Indira Nagar.
Yeah, and like I haven't been able to meet him because I'm just like, yeah, this came up, yeah, that came up, like maybe next time, and like I can't do evening plans, so it becomes a task on some days.
Do you feel that also causes a lot of burnout?
I don't think so personally. For me, I think burnout kicks in from doing work that doesn't feel like play. That's when burnout kicks in, where I'm just like, I do not enjoy this. Like I wake up and I'm just like, shit man, like I have a whole day of having to get this done, which is not a great feeling. So I don't think this lifestyle is what's bringing in the burnout. For me, it's probably not being able to meet people and like just jam on ideas or like be outdoors and like catch up, like things of that sort is what get to me. Work wise, I don't think burnout has kicked in yet.
I read a quote on the back of an auto rickshaw actually today morning. Okay, back of an auto rickshaw. It said, "Don't love your job. Job
Job your
you."
love.
Okay.
There's this reel that got viral.
No, but I literally saw it. There was an auto rickshaw on the way to this podcast on the back of that, and I was like, "This is perfect for the podcast, man."
I think it's very different for me because there's like not a bunch of people dependent on me or something. But I feel like the one thing that pushes me forward is that things that you make can literally be live out there being used by someone else. Like someone else is possibly interacting with things that you made sitting somewhere else in the world, and in some ways it's a part of their life, which is something that really amuses me. Like even previously when I was working at Cred, like whenever I used to see someone, let's say, make a payment using Cred, like I used to be like, oh my god, like people actually use
I made this feature that you are using.
It's not exactly that, but it's just so wholesome in that sense, right? Like they're not tangible, like it's software, but like it's being used by people. So in whatever capacity you see that, I think it really helps. Like even now when I'm working, things that I design and then I see that, okay, this is like, they'll share details with me saying, okay, yeah, this has resulted in this and like whatever. I'm like, oh, like there's an increment of these many people who are using it. Like there's actual people out there using this. So I think that is what really pushes me forward. So it's all of the people that I've not met yet, right? That they're somewhere out in the world using these things. So yeah.
design has an impact at scale. I think that's great.
Undoubtedly.
I feel
yeah.
most creative people get off on validity, like
Hmm,
validation,
validation.
basically, right? And like you said, like for you, it's like you know, you work for cred, and then you see like, let's say, a cred feature or someone using cred, you feel that kind of thing, right? Similarly, like I'm sure if you've done some design work and you see it on a billboard,
Yeah.
once you see it on that billboard, you're just like, okay, it's worth it.
Exactly.
You know?
Like even right now for like the company that I'm working with based in San Francisco, like I met the team and all of that, and I was just like, wow, like there's actual set of people working on things, and now this goes out into the market, and like there's another set of people who will be actively using it. They're writing feedback, sharing it, and I'm just like, it's kind of overwhelming on some days where maybe the feedback isn't good. Like they'll be like, hey man, this is not that good, and like, you know, there are bugs or whatever. But then on some days it potentially does impact someone's lives, and I'm not saying impact someone's life in a way where, oh my god, like suddenly, you know, there's like housing and like food and all of that. Like it's not the necessities, I'm sure, but at least in software design, if you can add delight to their life, I think that's a very beautiful way to solve for things.
It's more
So, yeah.
like at the end of the day, everyone's life is so chaotic, and
It
they have
is.
decided to put their effort and time to use our application. So that even 1% would
Even
count a lot.
1%,
Yeah.
like I feel like we spend so much of our time looking at screens, like a significant, like I was reading up about this, but you spend about 6 hours on an average every single day staring.
Oh, definitely more than that.
More than that, for
For
you all, I'm
me,
sure. But 6 hours every single day
It's
amounts
1/4 of
to-
your day, dude.
It almost amounts to 100 days in a year.
Yeah.
And I'm sure users don't live inside your applications or live inside things that you build, but they do spend time looking at screens. So at some given point, they will spend time looking at what you've made. So
Like especially
yeah.
when compared to like a YouTube video or a view, sometimes I just get sad. Okay, this got like only 20,000 views. But sometimes I just be very grateful that someone has seen so many competitor videos, decided to click on my video, saw 2 ads, and then just saw my video. Those are just not numbers. Those are like real human beings, right?
Yeah,
So
you
I'm
think
just
about it,
sometimes
like
just,
you're saying 20,000, say like 1,000, okay, 1,000 views, like
Right.
people are just starting off, right? And they get like 500,000 views, right? And they're like, oh, this is not enough. Look at my peers, they're getting 1 million, they're getting 100K. But it's 1,000 actual people that are engaging with
Yeah.
your content. That's
Put
what
them
people
in the room.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
understand?
yeah.
Because-
Literally, like my
Yeah.
brother just started making content. Like it's been barely a few days, and he cooks. Okay, so his channel does not have a lot of followers, and one of his reels just hit like 30K, and he was like, bro, this hit 30K, but theek hai, abhi I want to hit like 100, you know. And I was like, do you know what's 30K? That's the size of Wankhede Stadium. There's the entirety of that stadium
Watching your reel.
watching your thing. Like if you visualize it that way, it's an insane
Yeah.
amount of people
Yeah.
sitting there watching what you do. So I feel like it's crazy how things, like at least with like the way digital platforms have changed access to things, you can access so many people. Like you can't imagine so many people physically standing there watching you do things, but I feel like now with content, it's the funniest asymmetric returns, right?
Yeah.
So
So I'll want you guys to hold that thought and explain something. If someone's starting off today, let's give the timeline of 2026. The year is almost come to an end now. In 2026, if someone is starting off in your respective careers, can you map a small roadmap in a way that they can take directionally to at least bare minimum be where you are right now, or possibly even beyond that? Because you guys are killing wherever you are in your respective fields. How does how does someone be at that space starting off in 2026?
So I feel that as an editor specifically, there are multiple levels to the game. So I have like a 5-step sort of a level structure. So first, for you to master the tool, that's level 1. I will first say the levels and I will explain it.
Okay.
First is master the tool. Then, just a second. Okay. Master the tool, master the craft, master attention, master storytelling. Then you will be like a creative director. I think those are the 5 journeys that I have seen happening. So let me just briefly explain what that means. Like, although it would be very controversial that I'm saying master the tool first, because people say learn the fundamentals first, right? I'm saying master the tool first because that will give you, it will quickly enable you to at least do something, right, and get a feedback very quickly, right? So master tool can be like either master video editing in a certain software like Premiere Pro, After Effects, DaVinci, CapCut, anything, right? So that's really the first step. You master the tool, then you master the craft. Now you understand the elements of editing, like what sort of pacing, the type of pacing, the type of cuts that you have, like day cut, L cut, those sort of things, right? Those are the fundamental blocks that make you go from someone who just can chop footage and like just make something look probably virally to someone who understands what you're doing, right? What's the intention? Because the intention of editing is not to make something look cool, but is the comprehension. The intention of editing is just comprehension. Like easily, how can I comprehend what I'm feeling, and I can make it comprehensible to the audience, right? I think that's the main part. And then mastering attention, because obviously we are in the social media era. You have to understand how hooks work, how pattern works, all the psychological biases. We need to study the 3-second rule for specifically like short form content. And there are a lot of different sort of hook patterns that you need to learn. That's the second step, mastering the attention. Because now you're just not an editor. If you see where we are going, right? Now, at this stage, if you are really good with attention also, you will be able to package that as well. You're not just, hey, I can make a video for you, like edit like 30-second video for you. I also understand attention, so it will reflect to your views or conversion, right? That is another level of a game, right? Then you need to master storytelling. Now, you need to master, the next step is the storytelling part. You need to master storytelling also, because I've been studying a lot, we study a lot. Something that's really working right now is blends of content. As for example, if you're just doing education and just go and say, these are the 3 hacks, it won't work, right? That content won't work. But if you like put in like a storytelling sort of a package, like you create a story around it, and then you try to educate people, I think that angle is working a lot. So maybe read, I also have a diagram. So this is a Harman cycle. So if someone wants to take a screen grab or something, this can be really good for a storytelling angle. So it's like the hero's journey sort of a thing. How do you start from a place, then you have a conflict, and then you really try to get around that, you do the hustle, do the grind, and finally the payoff. So that sort of storytelling structures are something one should really, really study well. Trust me, editors don't study this. Editors just want to sit in software and just not care about storytelling at all. This is so I will give you context. Like, I was talking to Ansh Mehra. I think he was telling me that there's specific need of creators like this, and editors like this, but they are no one, right? So if you can get to this stage also, will make good ton of money. I will tell you one example, right? One 17 million sub US YouTuber contacted me, and he offered me like a close to 1 crore job offer as an editor. Because not just an editor, because he saw one of my videos that went semi-decently well. Again, I said the views doesn't matter, the alignment matters. It got like 100k views, but it was so aligned to what he wanted to do. He offered me a job. I didn't do the job, but those are the sort of opportunities you can crack, like if you really understand storytelling to the level best. The fifth is the creative director. Now I think he would understand really well what a creative director is, but I will just give it briefly. Like, now you're not doing the thing. You're not sitting and doing the edit. You're not in the software, but you're building the SOPs, you're building the frameworks, you're building the sort of IPs, what can work. I think these are the 5 different stages that pays very like significantly well. Like, there are asymmetrical results, right? I have been in the recent project I did for a $2.8 billion company who US-based company, and they wanted an acquisition video. In that that was the first time I did like a creative director sort of a role, but it was like a very different sort of editing, not the traditional. It's like very AI virtual production using particular models, and like how do we stitch that and make things look coherent. I will come to it later, but yeah, that's kind of my sort of roadmap. Yeah.
Good.
Interesting. So if I were to create a roadmap, I'm going to speak from a director's POV first, and then maybe I'll talk about like a production. So I think there's mainly 4 things: identification, knowledge, implementation, and scale. Okay. So you start with identification, right? You're starting off as a director. What director do you want to be? Do you want to make narrative films that go off for like Diwali? Do you want like tear jerkers? Do you want people to feel for your films? Do you want to create something like humorous, like what Ayyappa or Nirvana films or like several different directors create, like very humorous films that get people to laugh? I feel those are the things that can, like, that's what I want to be. I want to create humorous content. I want to create content where you'll have a laugh, but then every time maybe a joke or something relatable comes up, you'll be like, oh, remember that ad? right? So I want that kind of recall. That's the niche that I'm trying to make, right? So once you identify what kind of director you want to be, what kind of films you want to associate with, 100% be okay that you're not going to get those films at the start, right? So you identify that. Once you identify what director you want to be, you want to get the knowledge. So a lot of the knowledge comes in, like you said, like 3-act structure, harmony cycle, how you tell a story, you know, what's a story arc and everything, right? There's a lot of 101 different theoretical aspects to it, which you have to learn, which a lot of people don't, like you mentioned. But you also need to get knowledge from real life experience, right? Like I was on the verge of going to film school in Canada. I dropped all that to start a business, right? A production house, right? Now I'm doing that without a degree in film. I'm doing that without a certification in film, because I feel like most other things that I've learned in life have come like that, through actually doing the job, actually living the experience, right? So these are just two guys who never went to film school, who had the ambition or had somewhat of the skill to start it, and we did that, right? But I would say if you're starting off as an independent director, the best way would be to associate with people in your industry to get that kind of knowledge, right? I used to be in awe of a lot of directors, so I used to just hit them up. Bijoy Shetty is one, right? I love his work. Like even from the start, we got him on like remember when Clubhouse was a thing during COVID, right? We got him on Clubhouse. I just wanted to just be in conversation with people who inspire me, be in conversation with people who, I appreciate the work and I want to get into the mind space of, right? I would put myself in places where, so I didn't come from this industry. I was more into like marketing, PR, and events and all that kind of stuff. So I was more like a people person. I wanted to come in this industry, so I wanted to mingle with people from my industry. That's very, very important, because even though they are competitors, they are literally in the same boat that you are in, right? You get to learn a lot. You get not only about the technical aspects, you get to learn a lot about like the business aspects. You get to learn a lot about clientele. You get to learn a lot about processes, right? Like I've learned a lot of my processes from other production houses, right? So once you gather that knowledge, then it's about implementation, right? So you can know like textbooks through and through, but until you, like in our field, until you actually do the work or put out something, it doesn't mean anything, right? So once you find your niche, you get the knowledge, you shadow people, you learn as much as you can, you implement it, right? That can start from like shooting from in your house, in your living room, to actually going. And what we did was we just found, I just literally looked at my contact book one day, like my contacts on my phone, and I was like, who owns a business? You know, who owns a business in this? And I just kept scrolling, and I identified like 3 people, right, who I could just reach and call and be like, I know you run this, I know you do this, let me just come meet you, right? And like what people don't understand is like, people would be like, okay, can I make a film for you? Do you have the budget for me to come and shoot something? No, just be like, I want to show up, I want to talk to you. I should just show up, talk to them. I'd be like, so one of our first retailers was with an amusement park. My friend owns an amusement park called Fun World Amusement Park in Bangalore, right? So that was, for me, that was like a dream. I was like, I can go to an amusement park every month for free, right? Okay, so I was like, let me shoot some content, let's do it. Okay, so we shot an amusement park. That was like our first retainer, and that was where we did a lot of experimenting on like a lot of concepts and effects and stuff that we wanted to practice. We would practice it at home and then go and shoot it at the amusement park, right? Our first big projects were all from friends and family. Like we just reached out and we're like, we want to be there, we want to shoot, give us one shot. Let's see if it, like, because we were confident in our skill. We were not confident in like whether we could do it based on their brand guidelines or whether we could tell the story how they wanted to tell the story. That was something we didn't know anything about, right? We knew we could make a killer piece of content and like maybe like, you know, add a hook or give it some crazy effects and just like, you know, make it viral or make it very visually appealing. We knew that much. That was our confidence. So we just put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, put ourselves in just rooms where those kind of opportunities arise, right? And then once you do that, that's the third phase, right? So you start creating for clients, you start understanding how clients want, how to kind of digest their feedback and put it in an artistic way, because most of the client feedback are really not what they want. You have to decipher that and be like, okay, this is what they actually want, let me suggest this instead. You know, so there's a lot of like playing back and forth, because in the end of the day, they are paying you for it. It is their piece of work, and you are getting paid for the work that's actually rightfully theirs, like on paper, right? So then once you reach these 3 stages, right, you're on a good start to be like a director. You start creating work and portfolio, and it's about scale, right? What people say is like, okay, I'm going to be a great director, and then 100 people are going to call me for this ad, and I'll just go and direct and be like that. No, I think what people miss is like what's more valuable than a director is a director with a team, right? I have certain people like my line producer is someone I've worked with through and through. My art director that I like production designer, art director, she's amazing at what she does. Shout out Calvin and Darshini. Like these are people that I've worked with as freelancers, right? And I make sure that these are people that always work with me because these are people I can rely on. These are people I know do optimal work, right? So I think that's a basic roadmap of how you would want to be in a director. And when you come into a production house, you just have to think on lines of like commercials as well.
So, but I had a very different experience when it comes to getting support from friends and family. Like when I started as content creator, no one would say that directly to me, but I didn't get any support, man. Like from family, yeah, family probably. Like my mom was very supportive. Dad was like, I don't know what he's doing. Probably it's just a pastime hobby. No one really thought that this could be a actual career. So I got a lot of hate from my peers also in college. कि क्या कर रहा है coding कर ले. So ये कर ले वो कर ले. But I don't know. Irony was that I also got a job in the same field, twice his package, and also did this. So yeah, but that's
coming to that and the validation point we said earlier. My dad probably didn't acknowledge what I did till about last year. Okay. So 4 years of starting a business, he's like, what business? He like, like he's thinking I'm making 500 rupees an edit, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But then the thing is, until last year, we made a film that was screening on IPL, right, on TV, right? Brilliant. And that's when I was like, Dad, you're watching IPL every day, no? You know that ad that comes up? That's mine. And that's when he's like, oh, it's yours. You're doing that. Like until last year, my dad thought I was video editing for 500 rupees. Going and shooting some restaurant and then like leaving and stuff. So until they see that kind of validation, it's hard to convince them. But maybe that'll change in the years to come because everything is shifting.
Like even my dad didn't. Even I think that perception was that this is probably like a hobby or like a part-time thing. My dad also used to think like that. But I think what happened is I gifted my mom a car, right? Which is something he never expected that I could do. And I just said, he was like, okay, you did with the salary. I just said, no, I didn't even touch my salary. Then we were like, okay. So now, like my further plans where I go into my own venture, he shows a lot of support. He just says कि हाँ अब तब तो prove कर ही दिया है कुछ ना कुछ तो सही कर ही लेगा. So getting that validation from the parents, I think I just chase validation from my parents and बाकी का इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता honestly. अपने they are the ones who have helped us grow and all तो बस.
It's very fulfilling. Once you prove it, like
it, then you're like, yeah, मैं जीत गया.
I think at least for me, like you all mentioned regarding parents, I think my parents were very supportive in that sense. Like my dad wanted to do this, and then when he was young, he couldn't study formally, like study design formally. So he was very supportive when I said I want to study design. Like even when I was really young, like when I was in school, I used to really like craft, like stitching stuff and all. So he got me a sewing machine, and he's like, you know what, stitch whatever you want. Make stuff that you want to like, sell eventually. If you want to have like a boutique, you can start that, you can do this. So that way I think he was super supportive. He wanted to do very different things when he was young. At some point he wanted to have a sweet shop. Halwai banna tha mere papa ko. And everyone was like, are you crazy? You studied engineering. Like, no, that's not happening. So that way he's very supportive of things. So when it comes to a roadmap, I think it looks very different for different people. A huge aspect of your roadmap highly depends on what you want out of it by the end, which at least in a field like design, considering how creative it is, for product design in itself as well, there's a lot of different things that you can choose to pursue in very different manners. At least from my personal experience, I studied graphic design in college, and then I moved to I started doing experience design. Like I was interning at Frog for 6 months. I was doing like a lot of research, and then I moved to CRED, and there I worked as a product designer, and then now I work independently as a founding designer for some teams, right? So my journey looks quite different in that sense, but I think it boils down to experimenting. I think that's like the number one aspect. Like try to get to what you want to do as fast as you can by trying everything that comes your way. Like when I started off, I thought कि यार मुझे motion design करना है, तो मैंने बहुत ट्राई किया कि ये करूँगी वो करूँगी. I was like नहीं मुझे 3D में चीज़ें बनानी है, मैंने वो भी ट्राई किया. And then I was like maybe not my thing. I was like मुझे illustration करना है. तो then I was like in college picked up a freelance gig, made money. I was like iPad खरीद के illustrator बन जाऊँगी. Illustrator, and I was like okay, this is.
I also thought that.
Yeah, like you know, you have those phases where you're just like, you see people's work and you're just like, damn, like I so want to do that. And then when you go through it, you realize okay, I like doing it, but I don't see myself doing this forever. Doing this for a longer period of time. So your only answer to knowing that is by actually doing these things. And then I was like, okay, visual design mein itna maza nahi aa raha. I think I'll try, you know, something else. And then I picked up an internship which was more on the lines of like web design. And then I was like, oh, this seems interesting. I think I want to become like an experienced designer. And then I got an internship. I feel like anyone who's just starting off, pick an internship which potentially lets you do things you've never done before. It's your best shot at trying what it feels like if you do it out there. Fun college projects look very different, or even fun personal projects look different, but like when you try doing these things, you have like a better understanding of what it comes with. When you try to do it for yourself, you can nicely tweak the brief for whatever you want out of it, right? So and like I think earlier also we spoke about like interns that y'all were hiring. I have a slightly different take on it. During my internship, I had another offer which paid me almost 3 times more than the internship I picked. But then the role that they were offering in the sense of the kind of work was not aligned to what I want to do. So I had the privilege to turn that down and be like, you know what, I think I'm going to try this. And that company was paying me like, then I moved to Bangalore with that money, and it wasn't a lot of money for me to move cities. But then I was like, you know what, I just want to try it. I want to be out there. Let's test it out. And then I moved, and then I worked there. And post that was when I got into CRED. So what I'm trying to say is identify what is it in terms of what you care about. What is it something that feels like play and doesn't feel like work to you? And then try to identify what your roadmap looks like from there onwards. So once I started working at CRED, I think it came in with a lot of different things. Like I got into CRED not knowing how to pay a credit card bill. I got in not like, it's ironic, right? And I was just like, kaise karu? Matlab kuch pata nahi. I've never built a product. Like I've never worked in a product team. I've never like, I didn't know anything when I joined. And it just happened so that you pick up a lot of things. And I'm not saying कि कुछ भी नहीं पता था तो भी ले लिया, वैसा नहीं था. Obviously, like you come with certain aspects that align with what they look for, but you'll pick up a lot of things as you start working. So I think identifying what are a few things that you care about. For me personally, that was I wanted product firms that care about visuals because I came from a graphic design background. That I know was something that I could put forward as a strength. So I wanted to make sure I'm in environments that value it. So identifying those aspects for you. Like I know some people who are product designers and also do motion design. So they would potentially do really well in environments that value these skills, right? There are some people who are really good with like illustrations, or there are some people who are really good at like making systems. So identifying what you're really good at and a place that aligns with it, and not trying to just identify places based on the perceived value for it, or like I don't know, like I feel like labels in some capacity can be self-limiting beliefs. So like associating yourself with like organizations or just institutions or all of these things are not going to help you identify what you truly want to do. It'll just put you in a place that you like, right? But identifying what is it that you're really good at and you care about, I think will get you to actually getting through making the best roadmap, which is fully optimized for yourself. So I feel like identifying that would be the first thing. The second thing would be pay. As much as people say only look at your passion, it's very important to be in places that incentivize you for what you do and value you in that capacity, because I think money can buy you the kind of freedom that nothing else can buy you. The kind of freedom where you get to choose what you want to do, and it's an aspect that people don't speak about enough, and I feel like more than underrated. I think everyone's like नहीं early on नहीं फर्क पड़ता है पैसे से, like कब जो दिल में लगता है तुम्हें कि सही है, go ahead and do that, by all means do it, but also be very mindful of how you're going to make money in the long run. Like it can't, like, unless you come from privilege and you can choose not to optimize for it, that's a very different story. But like, I personally think having money lets you do what you want to do, and not having that pushes you into doing a job just because you have to do it. And those are two very different situations to be in. I've seen some of my friends who have been in those situations, and it's not a great place to be in, because now you're just choosing to optimize for the next best thing. I personally didn't experience it that way, and it changed how I made my roadmap in terms of हाँ ये करना, उसके बाद वो करना, उसके बाद वो करना. So being in a place where there's abundance lets you choose things for yourself. Being in a space of scarcity pushes you into just picking up whatever comes your way. And then it just puts you into these two categories of, there's one side of people that make life happen, and there's one side of people that just wait for life to happen. So it's unfortunate, but like, money does end up in some capacity dictating which category you end up falling into in some ways, and you subconsciously don't even realize, right? So I would say by all means be in spaces that pay you well. And it also comes from a place of like, since creative industries don't have very specific ways of functioning, like you can't tangibly measure the value they add. In a lot of places, like service companies don't pay as well as product companies do, because like I mentioned earlier, a lot of your value, that like what you get paid, is directly correlated to the amount of value you generate for someone else. So as a product, since the value of that product is exponential and the product also makes revenue by itself over a period of time, the amount of money you make looks very different here, as opposed to a service-based company where you're working with clients who outsource that work, right? So the agency itself potentially doesn't make a lot of money to compensate you for your time.
Right.
So those are two very different ways. And I've seen how, at least for me, in college, it was always like, oh, I really want to work for service companies, because you get to do like a very diverse range of work. And that's because college tells you that working with big brands is going to bring a very big name for you. And service-based companies let you work for big brands. So तुम 2-3 बड़े brands पे काम कर सकते हो. But what college does not teach you is that it
like
pushes
very
you
small
into...
part, you're a small part of a very big machine. Like
You are, yeah, for sure. And that also results in you associating your worth to the big brands that you worked with at the cost of you not being paid enough, which is not okay, at least personally. Like, and I've seen a lot of people get exploited that way, saying, bro, but the exposure of working for this brand, like exposure won't pay my bills, right? So that's a lie that's sold to a lot of people. And as someone working in tech, you don't have to fall into that pit. It's a, like, if you can choose to be smart about it, there are a lot of ways to make sure that you have the freedom to be creative. Like, you have the freedom to pick the kind of work you want to do. So I think that's an aspect to identify while you're making the roadmap, in terms of क्या मुझे service agencies में काम करना, like service based in में या agencies में काम करना, or do I want to work for product firms? Within product firms, do I want to work for startups? Do I want to work for big companies? Big tech gives you a relatively comfortable life, but the kind of output in like your early years will be much lesser. So as you move forward, a lot of that work can't be put together and presented to someone as if, hey, this is what I am independently capable of doing, right? And like working at really small places in some ways lets you tangibly impact the product, which I think big tech में बहुत relatively कम होता है. Like, so for the amount of time you spend, like if you spend like 4-5 years in big tech, sure, you'll probably ship like a lot of things, which again, because it functions in a way where it optimizes for scale, if that's something you care about, then by all means you should work there. But I feel like at least for product design, the roadmap varies based on these aspects and variables. So yeah.
Got it.
I had a like little controversial take on this.
Same.
Like,
Go first.
yeah. So I feel it's very nuanced. Like when you're starting out, how much importance should you give to like exposure versus
money.
the money given?
Right.
Because I feel it's really dependent on who you're working for. Like it's very founder dependent. I will give a very simple example, right? There was an editor who wanted to work with me, right? I saw his work and he quoted some X, right? And I said ki no, I cannot hire you at X because his work was good, and I gave him like 2X, right? Now this is something that a lot of creators or like founders won't do. Once the founder will get to understand that, okay, some founders, not everyone, can understand, okay, maybe you are here for the exposure, maybe I can manipulate you into, exploiting you. I think then is when
that's
For
the
sure.
red flag for sure.
that's a very big red flag, I feel.
Yeah. So coming to that, so I feel like, especially, I'm assuming a lot of the viewers that are watching this right now also are very young, right? You need to allow yourself 3 years, okay? Especially from, like, it can be any time. Some people find it early, some people find it later in their life. But 3 years, I feel you need to put money aside, okay? You need to live by the most, like, minimal means. You need to live in the most optimal way. And in 3 years, you need to gather knowledge that's going to shape the next 30 years.
For sure.
Okay, so I that's why I say anyone who is starting off, once in your life you should work for a startup. Okay, once. The only reason why I say that, then you can make your decision after that, is because a startup lets you have, like she said, greater impact, right? Whatever field that is, it lets you wear multiple hats. Now, when I've worked in companies, I've worked like in bigger companies. You are doing one job, your accountability is much less. If I don't do the job, 5 other people are going to do it. My input in one project is 2% of the output, right? Of what is actually going out there. Okay, yeah. So like, one thing about that is, when you work with startup, or you work with an emerging company, or you work with something on a smaller scale, you have bigger impact and bigger decisions to make. You get to learn more about other things apart from your job. You get to wear multiple hats, and the second that you do that for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, wherever, however long, right? The second you step out of that and you make the decision, like you said, you want to go into like a service industry or a product industry, or you want to work for like a big company or a small company, whatever it is. Once you make that decision, you are a relentless. You are like you have skills that other people can't. You against other people, your skills are above average, right? The reason is because you're more well-rounded. You're more able to handle greater things in your scope of work, right? You become an irreplaceable asset to the company, right? And that's what people don't understand. When you go with a startup, and let's say you work for 2 to 3 years, I have some people in my company that I can never let go of, right? Like tomorrow they will come to me and say, I want a pay hike, and I'll be like, 100% for you, I'll do it, okay? And there's few people like that. And the thing is, because when you go in a startup, obviously a startup that is on the rise, right? And you become irreplaceable, right? I mean, no one is irreplaceable. To an extent, you become irreplaceable, right? That in the long run is much, much more valuable. And suppose even from this point, whoever has been working with me and they leave my company, right? The goodwill of what we've built and the skills that they have learned over these past few years will be tenfold of what they would have learned in a bigger company, right? They will have proper industry experience, client experience, production experience, 101 things, right? So I feel like if Naveen and I in those initial years in those formative years, we did not, like, because we did not think of money one bit, right? We said yes to every client that came our way, which put us in a lot of rooms where it was terrible work that we've done, terrible clients that we've faced, terrible circumstances and environments that we've worked in, right? But those 3 years have shaped, those 1-2 years that we worked like that, saying yes to every single client that came our way, prepares you for everything out there. I can say now, we know exactly what something is before we even get into it. And like exposure, yeah, like a lot of people exploit exposure, what you were talking about, which is very true. I know a lot of competitors and a lot of peers also that run their companies like that. But if you find a nice environment to grow, even if the pay is less, right? Take that up in your formative years.
For sure. Like, that's what I meant by like the other company that paid me thrice, but I didn't choose to go ahead, was coming from a place of, sure, y'all pay me, but the kind of work I don't think is something that I want to do, like at the core. So if you have the privilege to walk away from those things, by all means choose to, if you've identified what you want to do. I think another aspect to it is also that like, you're viewing it in the sense that as a founder, like, your first 3 years were a certain way, and like now you've picked up, right?
No, even prior to being a founder, right?
Yeah.
When I would go, it was just a hunger. You walk 100%. Into rooms, to learn.
Like, saying yes to everything, by all means you should. But what I'm trying to say is, I know people who've been working for years, and it comes from a place of being convinced that you
This is how the
don't
world
need
works.
to make a lot of money. This is how the world works. You need to, like, work for 10 years if you want to become something in life. But those rules don't apply to everyone. Like, exceptions can't be examples.
Right,
So
right.
if you think you're still solid, by all means go chase that. Like, don't conform to how people define these rules for you, is what I mean by it. Like, even if, like, a lot of people, like, and specifically in like creative fields, I've seen a lot of people very comfortably get exploited because they're like, nahi yaar, hamare field mein hota hi hai ye, matlab. And that's not true. Like,
You should know your worth, basically.
yeah, know your worth. Like, specifically that, like, know your worth and be very good at what you do. Like, being competent is important. You
course.
can't be demanding these things by being absolutely mediocre, for sure. Like, but by all means optimize for that aspect, because I feel like people perceive creative jobs as, oh, they don't pay well, but that's not true, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah.
Got it. And I feel, especially in corporate, I feel how you can exponentially grow is probably upskilling yourself constantly. That gives you a lot of exponential growth and, of course, equity. Talking about skills, quickly, can you just guys tell me one resource or one, let's say, course that someone can do in the very early stages?
I think for product design, from a tools vantage, Figma obviously is something that you should be really good at. But I don't think a lot of product design is just about the tools. It's about a lot of like thinking in terms of like how you think of the product, like general holistic experience. And learning the tool does not teach you that. So a lot of courses online that say like, oh, in the next 30 days you can be a product designer. You will know the skills like from a technical standpoint, but that does not mean that parallelly at the same time in those 30 days as you learn the technical skill, you'll be able to pick up on the way to think. So that being said, I think learning Figma is important, but also like understanding how products work, understanding the way products are built, like reading up case studies, like those I don't think are counted as tools, but those are very important aspects of being able to design really well.
Got it.
So I have a PhD in the University of YouTube, right? So I would actually vouch that for anyone learning. Like today, you have so much information in your fingertips. You have the internet and you have hundreds of resources. But it's about whether you're willing to, look at Stephen Hawking memes, or you want to like learn something on YouTube, right? So it's about the willingness. I feel there's so much information on your fingertips. Apart from that, I think two things. If you're trying to be a director or you're even being anything in terms of production, I feel you need to like I said, I'm a storyteller to start with, right? But how do I tell storytelling in a filmmaking space? If I did not learn editing, if I did not learn how to shoot as well, right? How do you tell a story with the camera? How do you sell a story on a timeline, right? Two very different things, and that makes a really good director because I can tell a story and I'm going to be like, okay, this shot happens and this shot happens and then the conflict gets resolved like this. Okay, that's great in theory. How does it look in the edit, right? How do we capture the attention as a hook in the start? Right. How do we resolve the conflict in such a nice plot twist kind of way? If I know editing really well, I know what kind of, like how I want to cut to kind of resolve the conflict, how I want to, propose the problem, how I want to create the concept and the plot, right? How do I do build up, right? You can say build up, yeah, music intensifies, oh, crazy, right? There's great build up. How do I show it visually? How do I show it sonically? How do I show it, even from color grading, right? Like what is the kind of grading I do to it to give it that intense look, right? So there's 100 aspects, and I feel you are not a great asset if you just know your craft, right? Then you need a bigger team, right? If you're well versed in at least, let's say 30-40% of other tools, it makes you more comprehensive. And I would say, if you're a director, learn editing. If you're a director, learn how to shoot. If you're a director, also learn how to communicate well. Because I know a lot of directors, like you said, and a lot of other people in this industry who are really technically sound, and they know like 10 times that I would know in terms of theory and knowledge, but they don't know how to sell that. They don't know how to sell themselves. They don't know how to sell the craft. They don't know how to sell their services, right? And that's very important because there's so many players in in production, right? Why do people come to us? Why do people go to a certain person? Because you sell it the right way. So that's very important.
So if you're a video editor specifically, most of the courses that I saw in the internet is like just again, as Shivani said, like teaching the tools, right? Again, how do you master the craft? How do you understand storytelling and structures and everything, right? So one course that I can, so there will be two things. First course I would probably suggest you this. There's an editor, Hayden Hillier Smith. He used to be an editor for like Logan Paul. I think he has a very good course. It's expensive, obviously, but I think that is worth it. Second thing is like we are launching our own cohort soon about motion design and AI. So if you are interested in that space, because there's a lot of demand, lot of pent up demand in that space, right? Even all the cohorts that is running in India, I know a lot of people are reaching out to me that, hey, can I get an editor like you who's so good at like motion design? So there's a like gap, right? So we would probably try to bridge that gap. It would be like a very intermediate thing, not if you just know Premiere, please don't come to us. You need to at least know like basics of After Effects. But I would try my best to give a lot of placements to people. I think that would be a promise from my side, because my audience has been asking me to launch that for like 6 months down. And I did not, because I wanted to get more validated if I am the right person. And also, while they don't get to see everything that I'm doing public, so we have been creating a lot of projects, right? We have been doing a lot of freelance projects itself to actually get to the entire pipeline of how things get done. And like in motion design also, like we are doing promotional launch videos for YC backed startups, right? So those sort of case studies and breakdowns will also help them to see how actually a project was, not just in a bubble environment. Oh, I just taught you this tool, just kar lo khud se, right? So that's my pitch.
Got it. And while you see a lot of beginners coming in all of your respective fields, what is one very common mistake that you see that they make in their first year or so?
I won't call it a mistake, but it's really important to have your work documented. A lot of designers don't see the value of it, but it's so important to have a URL and be like, hey man, this is my domain. You'll find everything that I do put together here, or everything that I think of put together here. Like that does not, like it's a portfolio, but like people really treat portfolios only as like projects and case studies, but like I feel like it should consist of everything that you potentially can bring to the table. Early on, when people are starting off, a lot of people don't value consistently doing it. Like in college, we have to make a portfolio, so let's make it. And then once you start working, no one wants to consistently like keep updating things or putting yourself out there even after that, or like, you know, things of those. Like people don't value doing that once they get their first job, which I think is a huge mistake, because social currency compounds and a very large set of people underestimate how much it compounds. So I think that is one mistake. And secondly, making sure your work is very visual. No one has the time to sit and read everything that you bring to the table. But having some sort of presence which gives me a TLDR of who you are and what you do should consistently exist. So making that very visual, I think, is something that's important. A lot of product designers don't value visual design. I think moving forward with at least all AI tools that exist, people can one-shot building products, but like the only way to set what you do apart is being able to build a really nice story and make it visually really sound. So that I think is something that people don't value. I won't call it a mistake, but you're going to see repercussions of not doing it. So yeah.
I think she's saying that the user journey also matters, like the touch points,
for sure,
not just a tool, right? So not a mistake, but an early signal that, as I have been an editor now, on creative director, and also like I'm mentoring a couple of people, right? So one of the earlier pattern that signal that a lot of people misses the skill gap, right? So what happens is when you start out, there can be two graphs, right? In one, it can be like, okay, this is my taste. So generally as a creator or editor, you will develop certain taste. This is the sort of style that I really love editing, right? So you will have a graph of a taste, and there will be always a gap, right? There will be a skill gap. What happened with me also, like I used to watch Peter McKinnon videos, right? Travel videos. So I thought that, okay, once I get that A7 III, I will be able to make same sort of videos, right? So I saved up for 3 years, not spending anything. Diwali, sab kuch leke. I got the A7 III and I shot like, what the hell is this? This looks like shit. Then I got to understand, okay, there were so many other variables that plays along this. But this is one signal that you should not miss. If you have a taste, if this is the taste that you have, and this is where your skills are, you will catch up. Just relax. People quit before this. But
don't let Peter McKinnon gaslight you. Focus on the skill.
Focus on the skill. But if it's the other way around, you have problems, man. Like if you feel, okay, my edit is good, great.
Yeah.
I still have that, sort of attitude, oh, I'm not doing good enough. I have that imposter syndrome. Why am I even called in this podcast? I'm not that good. But yeah, then people say that you're this, that.
I think taste definitely influences what you set out to do. Like I think it draws, I think in some capacity it sets the bar, especially when I think the barrier for entry is so low. I think the bar for entry is so low that the bar for quality is going to keep rising. So being able to identify what looks good, like, is an aspect of like developing skill that, you know, it's at some point needs that. I think is like he mentioned, like, I think the bar for skill and the bar for taste needs to match eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
So I have like 2 points. One is pretty much the same as what you're saying is, I think people when they enter, they don't speak up enough about what they do, how they do it, what they did about the process and everything. And I feel like it's very important. If you're going to put, you know, what you ate at a fancy restaurant on your Instagram story, okay, you can 100% put the process, you can speak about your craft because that's going to be your career one day, right? So I feel people don't speak about it enough, they don't express enough, you know, those kind of things. And initially it's going to look very bad. You're going to do a one camera setup with a white background and it's an interview and put that, man, speak about it. Wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, speak about it proudly, like, you know, it's the best thing in your life that you're doing right now. That's 100%. One thing people are shy to do that. They're like, oh, look at all this guys doing like, 1 crore production, you know, we look at me doing like a 2,000 rupee production, like it doesn't look nice on social media. That's all bullshit, right? You need to just speak proudly of whatever you're doing and be in full content and proud of what you're doing. That's one thing. The main skill I would say in my line of work, when it comes to production is a very, in some ways is toxic, right? Like when you're on set, there are a lot of moving parts and stuff, and it's a very hands-on thing, right? What people sometimes do is they come in sitting on a high horse. They come in for a role, right? I'm first AC, I'm second AD. Okay, they come in with that role. So they whatever they were Googled of that role, right? Like first AD should be keeping schedule. Okay, so he'll come with a notepad and he'll just keep schedule and he'll look at everything else happening. That's not the guy I would hire. That's definitely not the guy I would work with. And most sets would not work with it. I want the guy, like when we started, we used to pick up boxes, we used to pick up lights, we used to clean the floor, we used to lug all that stuff and you know, and be like that. And like over time, you know, you get people to fill in these roles, right? But even till date, like there are these shoots that I go on and like, you know, our director's given a lot of prestige on a set, right? But I hate that. Like I love entering and like I said, being with everyone, you know, I don't like sitting on that high horse, right? But a lot of people do that. Even at an early stage, they come in as one role and they expect to only do that role. And the problem with that is that anyone can do that role, right? What makes you different as a first AC or a first AD, right, is dependability, right? If I like when you go on a set, that feeling, right? You have 150 people on a set. It's like playing like you're playing as a sports team, right? You're on one side and your goal is to bring this film to life in the best manner possible, right? So whatever come and may, whatever you need to get done, you get it done. You're not waiting on someone to do this or to pick up that or to move this or that. You're getting it done. That's your end goal, right? And a lot of people don't see that. They're like, I'm first AD, I'm just going to sit and keep schedule. Okay. I'm like, bro, first AD, help out. Like, you know, help out if art is lacking but not on time, let's help out with art. If this is not on schedule, help out with that. If some communication needs to go out, do that. Be everywhere, be goal oriented instead of role oriented is what I would say.
That's a great line. I think
put that on an auto rickshaw.
Job your love.
But that's very true. Like I feel like a lot of people really don't want to put in the work like a very large aspect of getting really good at your work comes with putting in the extra hours.
Of course.
Like, yeah.
Even back when I was starting out, I feel I started out as a video editor. Being a video editor, I was performing in front of the camera. I was taking care of the production. I was writing scripts as well. I was doing the post-production. I was even, in some way, taking care of the stakeholders for some matter. So, yes, you need to get your hands dirty in every possible way and sort of firefight everywhere possible, right, to get the job done.
I think one of the pointers that he said that even if you are doing like a 2000 sort of a gig, don't compare it with 1 crore, you should still document it. I think in general, in the holistic and the long term, the audience really cares about that underdog story, where you have actually started and where you are. People really love to see contrast. But I think that's one thing that people should not wait. For example, I waited till I got the A7 to make my first videos, right? I always had a phone, like I could have started much earlier. So definitely, I think that's...
Yeah, no, the underdog story is very true because when we were coming up and you could just see two boys very determined to just shoot whatever, everyone was like sharing our work and we're like, oh, look at this new production house in town and everything. Now nobody shares our work. They're like, these boys are already killing it. Let them do it. Let them do it. No one shares our work anymore. I'm like, guys, friends, family, come on, share it.
I'll do another shameless plug here. There's this friend of mine called Akash Majumdar. I'm sure Somrat knows. He scaled his channel to the first 100K with just on an Android phone. I think it was just a 14,000 Android phone. He makes amazing storytelling content.
But he's like very good with storytelling.
He's very good. He's very good, and I'm just glad he's doing what he's doing and putting it out there on social media that even you can do it.
I think being very good comes with the reps.
Yeah.
You can't magically wake up and be good at it. Like that day after we met and you were like, I asked you saying what's one thing you wish you did different, and he said, I wish I started making content earlier and I didn't wait around. That's the first thing I went home and told my brother, and my brother started his channel. His name is Vatsav, so it's Vatsav Cooks. And literally it's been 2 weeks, barely 2 weeks, and he's gotten like 4 brands already saying, oh, we would love to collaborate and this and that, and he's just like, whoa, like I wish someone told me earlier to get started. And I was like, that's so cute. Like if you wouldn't have told me that, I probably wouldn't have gone home and told him saying, brother, you've got to start. So yeah.
Great. So like now I'm elevated from being a content creator to an influencer actually.
Somrat recently went on a vacation. How often do you guys find time? Because of course, there's such a boon even in freelancing that people really consider, I'll get so much time. I'll have so much, freedom per se. How much time do you guys get for yourselves? Ki, aaj mujhe vacation pe jana hai. I'm planning my tickets for the next week. I'm going off. Does that happen?
So being a founder is a 24/7 job. Even on vacation, I'm working, right? But it's about like when you can get considerable time off. Like when I'm managing some projects, I feel like managing post-production and stuff is when I take off and I'll go sit on a beach or I'll go sit in like a forest that has some decent service, right? And it's just like kind of like, controlling the logistics of things. I feel like I get to take my time off there, right? But a founder is a 24/7 job, right? So you signed up for that. So even if you're living the Susegad life, you have some responsibilities.
You can't really like compartmentalize, right? Even when you're in a trip, you're probably thinking about strategy or how things are.
I'm in Goa thinking about should I post something on LinkedIn from here, But yeah.
I think for me, I try to very actively prioritize taking shorter breaks where you're not doing work. I feel like a lot of shift in perspective happens in those breaks. For me personally, I think the last trip I took was like a month ago or so. I went to Japan, and I remember speaking to Somrat like a day before I left for it. And I'm of the camp that a lot of creative work is all about being inspired and having environments that actually let you draw that form of inspiration. So personally for me, apart from inspiration, another important aspect is if your daily life includes a lot of chaos, like I don't expect work-life balance every day. Like it's fine. Like I'm willing to put in like 10 to 12 hours every single day for 7 days of the week. That's cool. But like I want to be able to take a whole week or two off where I'm not doing anything about work. Like that 1 or 2 weeks off is maybe just to spend time with my mom, where we're both on a holiday, or just time where I'm traveling or exploring something. I think that shift in environment gives you a larger perspective. For example, in this daily chaos, if someone asks you what is it that you want to do, your immediate response, either consciously or subconsciously, is that I want to get rid of this problem that I'm facing right now. And travel, I think, gives you the space to forget all of those problems and just ask yourself in terms of zindagi se kya chahte ho. And I think every once in a while, it's very important for you to have that question and the space to answer it for yourself.
Reset and refresh.
For sure. So that space, I think, is something I personally value. So I'm willing, like, even if it means working 10 months of the year constantly without a break is fine. But like, I want 2 months off if I want those 2 months. Like, now that I work independently, I can structure it accordingly.
Before even starting off the podcast, I remember a lot of us, probably every one of us, were discussing a lot about AI. How much do you think AI is actually impacting your respective fields? Is it helping people grow? Is it really replacing them?
I think this is the hottest topic of the industry right now. I think AI is replacing. AI won't replace editors, but AI would replace lazy editors. People who choose to not upskill. And I will give you like personal examples, right? I used to get, as a creator also, I used to get a lot of emails about, I will chop videos for you, just make it like short form content. I would make captions for you, just caption based services, like we'll just do the caption things. I don't see those emails anymore. Yeah. That means those sort of jobs are gone, right? Because all this auto captions and all those apps, right? So I think it's really important to upskill yourself, and I will give you examples, bro. You will see, I also have a lot of connects with founders and also like other creators who are like much bigger scale than me. A lot of people are looking for editors who also know how to use AI, right? Now that is also kind of like a gap. Not a lot of people know how to use the base sort of tools for like maybe B-roll generation, maybe some other things, maybe even motion graphics. So the last $2.3 billion company I was working for, that was a pure AI based project. So you can't like literally like label it to being like a motion design gig or something like that. So a lot of things I got to know working in that project. I had to use avatars. I had to use like a lot of VFX tools, which uses like a lot of like passes to relight the scene after it's being shot. So a lot of VFX compositing and set matting and a lot of those things. Now, this is a leverage. Now, this is, if you learn those very, you're an editor who also knows AI. I think that's how you can also charge more. Like, I know all these tools. I know how to like do generation, video generation, and like probably music and all those things. Even in that project, I have like all the subscriptions of music, Epidemic Sound and others. But trust me, the one that client approved was generated by 11 Labs. So I'm like, damn. But yeah, that's my take. You have to upskill yourself.
So I feel AI has eased a lot of workflows. We're able to work with a leaner team, but a more efficient team for us, for sure, right? Pre-production, post-production, production, everything, right? Two cases I'll give you, okay? Where it creates a little bit of complexity for us is, one is when you said you get paid more as an editor. Now clients are coming to us, they're like, okay, give us a code, okay, to produce this film. Okay, now shoot the interview real time. All the other B-roll, if you generate it, you can give us a discount, right? Okay, so I'm like, we're still paying for the subscriptions and all that kind of stuff. I can give you a little bit of discount since we're not shooting it, okay? But that also comes, people are negotiating because you're using AI, okay? Like clients are negotiating, saying, it should be much easier now to do this with AI, so give me a cheaper price. So that's one is there. Second thing is, so when you're pitching, like when you're doing a film, right, on a large scale, like recently we shot, I can't say the brand name, but we shot a film with Siddhant Chaturvedi, okay? Actually, the film is out, it's for Fast Track, okay?
Let's go.
Yeah, it's a Fast Track, we shot a film with Siddhant Chaturvedi, okay? And like obviously there's a lot of components. There's like the agency, the clients, the client has one marketing person and the client has everything, right? So you're pitching storyboards in AI. No one draws storyboards anymore, right?
That's okay.
And obviously there's a lot of pictures of Siddhant on Google, right? So you can just take that, input that, you can get his face in all different, angles and everything, right? So what we do is typically we create a storyboard that's essentially like the initial pitch, and then we animate the storyboard frames for the actions that he does, right? Through using Google VO, right? And so basically the whole film is pretty much there before we even go shoot the film, right? Because we're animating those frames with the actions that he's doing, right? If he's picking up the bottle or thing or whatever, right? But the thing is, it's so perfect, right? Lighting is perfect, the angles are perfect, the background is perfect, that the AI reference film, it's called a previs, right? The previs looks better than the actual film, right? Because it's perfect. It's literally perfect. So I feel like so that creates a little bit of like the client's like, okay, what about this overhead light that's booming like this and everything? I was like, this is how an actual overhead light looks like. In AI, it looks too perfect, right? So stuff like that. So like, you know, you're getting a greater output in the AI film than the actual film. That's one thing. But then the second thing, I feel like what the next wave, the wave of filmmaking will be like now imagine Suzanne Chaturvedi, he's doing this project and he doesn't have to come for a shoot, right? You can minimize the cost of that shoot by like 3/4, right? If he just gives you permission, use my face, I can send you some models or something like that, use my face, make the ad in AI. He doesn't have to go for a shoot. We don't need his entourage. We don't need 150 people on set. We don't need anything. We just need 2 editors and maybe like us, a director, a creative director, to sit and make a film in AI, right? That reduces your cost by 3/4, which is scary, right? Because that's how you make a profit, right? But yeah, so that's one thing. I feel the future will be like, you know, celebrities not even doing endorsements anymore. They'll just sign to give you consent to use their models, to use their face. It's very scary. Like I attended an AI film festival 3 days ago, right? And it's like we got to see around 15 films created by creators that were created in 3 days. Like the first day they were given the prompt, they were given the instructions, and 2 days they've completed a film, okay, a short film. There were films that looked like a proper Pixar movie, okay, shot in 2 days. There were films that looked like Black Mirror, okay, like Black Mirror, that kind of like, you know, dingy, very RGB, full, like crazy dystopian look, okay. You're able to create so much like that. Obviously, there are a few glitches, right? There are a few glitches and a few things you can't do, but with enough time, this is 2 days of work, right? Give it a month of work with a nice team. You can create next level art in 1 month with a quarter of the cost, quarter of the team. So AI enhances storytellers who don't have the skill, but AI also replaces lazy editors or lazy creatives.
But exactly, I agree that I feel the festival you talked about, right? Looking at those projects, it now puts it, it gives the power in the hand of the editor to direct a film, like a narrative, right? Previously, it would be like very white level, big corporations taking that drive, right? Now you don't probably, if you just want to create a film now, probably you don't need like a very huge team of white label agency or a production house. At least if you want to go to the MVP sort of a stage, right? An editor can do that, right? If you understand storytelling well, obviously fundamentals are something that you never can escape. You need to know about filmmaking in general. But it's quite scary, right, where things are moving forward.
Yeah, so I would just say to any creators, any editors, directors, filmmakers, whatever, integrate AI, adopt AI, and be one with that flow, because there's going to be a massive peak in AI right now in filmmaking, right? But just like with anything else that comes as it's not going to be a trend. It's going to be like a tool, right? But there is also going to come a time where that peaks, and then people are going to want to regress back into traditional ways, or like at least more raw look, because if everything looks perfect, right, you're going to want diversity.
It's like people moving back to DG cams.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that trend. Exactly. Yeah.
I think for something like product design, maybe a few years ago, people were making things in like Sketch and Photoshop, right? And then Figma came in, and then you're like, oh my God, like this is how you're supposed to do it. These tools will still exist, but with like vibe coding, anyone and everyone can just build an app and like have screens in place. So is AI going to come for your jobs? I would say yes, but it's going to come for jobs only if you're really mediocre, and only if you think product design is just executing and making screens. That's when it's really going to come for your job. I feel like it can't potentially replace the way you think about things. It can't always replace how well you understand the very humane aspect of building products. So I think it's very important to like upskill in that direction. more importantly with AI, at least in product design, is that like the gap between someone who can design, someone who can code, and someone who can, you know, build a product or like product management side of things, I think those gaps are going to get really blur. And especially for founding roles, the requirement is going to be like over a period of time, it is going to be like you need to be able to design and code, which may not be the case for like very large enterprises because they have like dedicated teams for everything and they might not pick it up at the same pace. But for like early startups, at least 5 years from now, 5 years maybe is an insane timeline. It might even be shorter, but you should be able to build your designs and be able to like code it or prototype it for people to experience the whole thing. You can't just submit flows. Like you can't just have screens and be like, अब मैं engineer को walk through दूंगा और engineer उसको देख के बना लेगा. Like that might not be the case.
The biggest skill of the future is going to be taste.
100%. I was just coming to that because everything can be one-shotted with AI, which is basically tuned or like built on models that in like, since it's democratized, everyone has access to it and everything starts to look the same. So the craft and taste aspect will literally dictate what you choose to do with your work. And like craft is something that comes with like doing it multiple times. Taste, like people say money can't buy taste, and that is true. Like so you really have to spend time developing a taste, and consuming the right set of things is, I think, the only way to get there. Like like it takes some time to develop that taste. It does not happen overnight for sure.
So you were also discussing the other angle, right, where you might lose your job if you're an editor in the AI space. I think it really depends. For example, if you're doing like chopping podcasts, probably you're going to get replaced. But I think the long form YouTube editors are going to be replaced the last. I will give a very simple example because I went to AVTV's office, I met Varun Maya, and he is the world's biggest AI avatar content creator, right? YouTube also gave him an award with that, I think so. He's the world's biggest avatar creator, but if you see the size of his video editing team, who's actually sitting behind and editing all those content, right? It's massive. It's like an office floor, right? So I think I still have a hunch that video editors are going to be replaced the last, probably, like the long form at least, going to be the last, definitely. Yeah.
Two things: copywriters, storyboard artists in our line of work.
Seriously, copywriters also.
I mean, obviously it's not completely replaced, right? You still need the people
You
to put
need
in
to be
the
the
prompts.
best at what you
But
do.
I can tell, I can tell when people submit copy or creative writing, and you can tell it's AI,
Yeah.
right? Because
It's too
no,
perfect.
yeah. Why are you speaking like Shashi Thurur, sir?
Of course.
Yeah. But yeah, even storyboard artists, that's dead.
Storyboard artist is gone. I
It's
think
gone. It's gone.
It's definitely gone. So as multiple pointers, right? Video editors are gonna get also leverage with AI, and you also said that there will be an inflection point where the saturation of AI content is so much, people would want to go back to the actual raw format. So the way we are strategizing is, now I have a main channel that already has 100k subscribers, right? So in the main channel, we are niching it down to content about video editing, simply video editing plus AI, right? We are creating another channel where it's gonna be only AI avatar based content, where I will use an AI avatar to create content, maybe in an inspiration or a motivation niche. That has worked for us. We have done AI avatar long form content that has got us success on YouTube. Right? And another would be a documentary sort of a channel, like a building channel. Like, hey, I'm this and I'm building this, and it's gonna be purely raw. So that's how I'm like doubling down. On one angle, I'm using AI to leverage what's right now, and one I'm like doubling down to protect me when it's too saturated. So probably I'm
He's just being foolproof.
playing to defense.
But there is a lot of
Everything,
data.
something will hit.
Something like I'll be safe.
Hopefully, let's see.
I think there's a lot of data on this in terms of like, so many people are like, oh, but you know, we're so done with like AI
Slop, yeah.
But data shows that it's only the people in tech who are sick of AI slop. People outside of tech who live very normal lives spend a lot of more time engaging with accounts that aren't people who are their friends or family. They spend more time engaging with accounts that are like maybe they're creators or influencers or a lot of like random AI slop or whatever. So all of the people who are like, oh, bring back Instagram, or like, we hate AI slop, are people who live in this bubble and know where technology is headed at.
Right.
But the larger consumer base is not sitting inside this bubble.
Yeah, so that's what happens. We working in certain silos, we understand that this is happening, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
People are outside of that silo are not thinking that way.
Like think about tier 2 or tier 3 India consumers, right? At a point, I think even this is a point where they won't be able to differentiate like this sort of viral content that gets some sort of, they won't be able to differentiate, okay, is this made by AI or not? And no, they don't even care, right?
Leave tier 2, my mom is sending me reels, okay, on
That are
Instagram.
fully AI generated.
Of a leopard approaching a baby.
Yeah,
The babies
yeah.
hit the leopard and the leopards ran away.
Yeah.
Okay, and my mom said, look at this brave baby. At the top, I can see Sora.ai.
Happened with me too, yaar.
And I'm explaining to my mom, don't believe everything on the internet. Nowadays, it's not like back in the day, like it's all fake, most of it. But with more information comes a lot more misinformation.
For sure. Like every forwarded multiple times or whatever that is. Like every video on my family group that's forwarded multiple times kind of thing that shows up. I'm so sure they're all AI generated videos that are being circulated. So you can see patterns and trends emerging. It's just about spending enough time to study it and like figure how things would moving forward.
The other angle
And not thinking of it by sitting inside the bubble. But yeah.
Like I'm really scared about like deepfake content also. Like you can literally drive like politics and all those things, right? You can use propaganda. You can spread a lot of propaganda, like using maybe the prime minister, create a fake content out of that.
100%. I've thought about that several times.
That is very scary.
Yeah, you can like change political views and beliefs, and you can spread information to people with like, it's crazy. If my mom thinks that leopard and baby is real, then I don't know, man. She's gonna think one speech from our prime minister is gonna be real,
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you used the word prime minister and not his name. I think there are so many things that we want to discuss about, but due to constraint of time, what would be one final tip that you would like to share with a budding fresher in your respective fields? Something that is not very theoretical, but something that you learned purely out of experience. Abhishek.
let's start with one of you guys.
Okay.
I think one thing would be, this is something that I've stuck on my laptop. It's like a small sticky note. Anyone who's seen me work knows that note exists on my laptop. It says, move fast, make things. You potentially won't go wrong for as long as you're constantly moving and there's momentum. Early in your life, trying more things, moving fast, and actually making things happen is your best shot at getting really good at it and figuring out what is it that you're going to excel in. You don't have to wait for, being at a point where you hate your job to leave your job or look for what's next. You can absolutely love every single day of your job and still be like, I think there's something else that I want to try and let's move fast. That I think is an aspect that I would emphasize on quite a lot. Like, move fast, make things. You're young. Your biggest regret is not going to be that you failed, but it's going to be that you didn't take enough risk. Like, you potentially can't lose anything when you have nothing to begin with. So, yeah.
Like, not deciding to do something is also a decision.
100%. You're choosing by not choosing.
Yeah. My biggest regret was my own self-limiting beliefs, right? Oh, no, this is not how it can be done. Things can be done, right? So I think fuck around and find out. You can do things. I mean, that's one of the, it's so easy to say you can get things done. But a lot of times we feel that, oh no, I can't get things done. But I think it's just, we need to have that self-obsession. I think obsession is a very big drive for me also. Being two things that drive me a lot is obsession and delusion, right? So I think you need the perfect balance of both to believe, okay, this can be brought to light, and also that drive, I feel. I think following the energy is the right way. And yeah, just start. That's the thing.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Awesome. Right, so I have two pieces of advice, very intersecting piece of advice. Let's just start with, I think, therefore I am. All right. I feel like what people do is they want to be a director, they want to be an editor, they want to be a designer, right? But they start off saying, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, these are the kind of projects that I'm getting. you know. But I remember in my early days, I used to walk in for like a 5,000 rupee shoot like I'm Rohit Shetty. Right? Like
I love that.
walk in with that confidence, walk in like I'm doing the biggest project of my life, you know, and give it that attention and give it that kind of, you know, a diligence, let's just say, right? So, so I think that's one thing, like, you know, like own up whatever you're doing, wear that proudly, and like, it's because I thought I was a big director when I was really small that I can just say that now I'm doing so much bigger work. Right, and that nothing has changed from that 5,000 rupee shoot to a 50 lakh shoot. And I still walk in like I'm Rohit Shetty, right? But yeah, so that energy really you know, spreads off, like from the smaller shoot to the bigger shoot. That energy, walking in like you know your stuff, walking in like I am going to be a big director, and you don't say I am going to be, you say I am a big director, right? You say I am the best designer, I am the world's best editor. Let's say that, right? And you walk in with that energy. That's one, right? And the second thing is to be delusional enough to believe that.
100%.
Right? Delulu is the Salulu. Right? So yeah, I mean, like there's going to be 100 people. Like I remember starting off, when I started off, right? All my peers were in corporate jobs, right? And they were pulling crazy salaries, freshers right out of college, right? But we used to go for dinners, and I used to be like, oh shit, man, like maybe I'll order this, not order this, because I was not making enough money, right? And I was thinking, should I switch to corporate, right? But there was a lot of peers and a lot of family members that told me, you know, this is a very low paying job, this is a very low paying scope unless you make it big, right? But I already knew I was going to make it big,
Yeah.
right? I walked like I was big, right? So now in 2-3 years, those 100 people have shut up, right? Right? They give you the flowers that you put in the work for, right? So yeah, be delusional and just own your craft, own your personality, own your character. Whatever you want to be is who you are right now.
I think the narrative changes in a way. First, your haters will say, "What are you doing?" Then they say,
how are you doing it? And just to add to that, I think wear the clothes like the person you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. All right. With that said, thank you so much, Shivani, Abhishek, and Somrat for coming on this podcast. It was really amazing. I got to learn so many things. I hope the viewers did too.
Sure. All the
Thank
best.
you.
Like, subscribe, share. Come on, and stuff.
In the baddies we trust.
In the baddies we
Thanks for
trust.
having us, man. It was
Thank
very
you.
insightful,
Thank you so
very
much.
fun.